Astronauten auf dem Mond.
Moon Buggy Hoax. It's a Jeep, dummy. What, you didn't know that already? Well, I'm going to show you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to make this a quick one for everybody out there with the short attention spans, but I will be going into this in much more detail, don't you worry. And it gets very interesting. This is just the really slam dunk portion of this argument. Welcome. If you're seeing me for the first time, I'm not surprised. I'm very difficult to find on YouTube. They make sure of that. But this is a very popular topic I'm covering today, and I have some explosive information to present to you. So go ahead and subscribe now, rather than waiting until the end when everybody else is trying to subscribe and the call center gets backed up. Hard to get through. And share it when you're done watching it and you decide that your friends want to see it. And then watch the other 100 or so videos I made that are just as entertaining as this one. So let me show you the material we'll be referencing today. The first one is from that moving picture we saw at the beginning of the presentation. That's this here. This is the footage from Apollo 16, the lunar roving vehicle. I pulled that screenshot right there. We're also going to be looking at this photo from the Apollo 15 mission. That's also the same lunar roving vehicle there, pretty much from the same type of angle. We will also be looking at the Boeing, well, we're going to use the Boeing schematics for the lunar roving vehicle. Those are right here. But instead of those, because they're pretty simple, I'm going to go to what is actually an amateur interpretation of the same drawings, same scale, same everything, except it adds the TV cameras and so forth. So rather than use the Boeing sketches, I'm going to use these nearly identical sketches, which just have a little bit more information on them. Let me tell you this. Oh, there's one other piece here, and that is the sketches from Willys Overland, from 1952 for the Jeep. Sorry, it was just the Willys Overland CJ3B. This particular vehicle, the CJ3B, was used still in Vietnam. It was all over the place. Very common military Jeep. And now I should mention that with all of these drawings, I will be overlaying them over pictures and each other. I did no modifications of any kind except for scale on almost everything we're looking at. I had to do a little bit of a perspective skew on one diagram to fit the picture, but I will tell you when that happens. So these are just to scale, unadulterated, unaltered, and you can find the more difficult one to find, which is the Willys Jeep schematics on my website, lifttheveil411.com, where I always try to post research that's harder to find so that you can verify everything that I'm saying. The other modification I made was to turn the black lines into red lines so that you can see clearly in the overlay. So let's start with these drawings. There is a side view of the lunar roving vehicle by Boeing, and there it shows all the TV cameras and so forth, antennae. It doesn't show where the batteries are, by the way. This is a fully electric car. I'm going to go into it in a lot of detail in another presentation, but boy, I mean, hard to believe that we fall for this stuff. Here is the overlay. This is the sketch from Willys Overland on top of the sketch of the lunar roving vehicle. I'm going to fade it out a little bit here because you might not be able to see how closely it matches. Now watch the seat come in. Take a look at the bar that's separating it from the ground, how they're right on top of each other. The little low gain antenna is right next to the windshield conveniently. And then really the part that got me in this direction in the first place is that TV camera. Look where it is. The TV camera and the antenna, they go right up the front of the hood. Not only that, the bumper identical. The dimensions of the car are, it says they're different. The wheelbase on the NASA roving sketches basically is 90 inches, but you see the way they overlay, it's exactly the same dimensions. The seat is in exactly the same position, and everything else matches up. So that's one view there. That's the side view. Let's take a look at the top view. There we go. I just overlaid it. It's at exactly the same scale as the other overlay was. And you can see this one. And again, I might, and one thing they did here is they widened the track, at least of these sketches, and maybe on the models as well, although who knows. This one, you see the wheels. I'm going to go ahead and fade it out so you can see. There. Okay, so you'll see the wheels on the NASA sketches are wider, and you'll see that from the rear view when we do the rear view as well. But otherwise, take a look at the seat and steering wheel, the driver's seat and steering wheel. I mean, they're right on top of each other. Look at this. Look where the steering wheel pops up. You know, it's just patently ridiculous that they did this. $38 million. They went 100% over their $19 million budget, Boeing did, to build this Jeep. And who knows what their special effects budget was beyond that, you know. Boy, these guys really did a number on us, didn't they? So that is the top view. You can see the bumper, the center line, everything lines up just perfectly for the architecture of the Jeep. Now let's switch over to the rear view, and we can take a look at how that matches up. Here we go, slide it in. And again, the track, I mean, the width of the tires it's wider on the LRV. You can see the tires on this vehicle fit in between the two tires, but otherwise the dimensions, look at the tailgate. You see the tailgate there? This just makes me chuckle. I mean, it is ridiculous in every single way. So now how does that compare with the way everything matches up to the actual pictures of the real, allegedly, lunar roving vehicle? Well, here is one of those pictures. This is the still shot from Apollo 15. Let's give you the overlay on that. Now, this is the one I had to skew a bit just to match the perspective, but take a look. I'm going to fade it in here. Look at where the camera, I mean, gosh, they shortened the rear end, by the way. You can see that, but take a look. I mean, look where his hand is. Look where his right hand is. See how it's right on the knob? And then his left hand, which is supposedly holding a video camera on his forearm, it's right at the steering wheel, coincidentally. So that is pretty convincing there as well. Now let's take a look at the final picture we're going to look at today. This is the one from the moving picture we saw of the thing running around on the moon. And I'm going to give you that one. And this one is a little bit different. Watch as I fade this in. And look at the camera. I mean, everything's perfect on it. Take a look as I fade it in. Everything's perfect up front. See how the camera is there just to obscure the fact that it was going to be hard to edit out that front of the car. The bumper, obviously the wheels and tires. He's sitting in the wrong place though. So that is problematic. I don't know if you noticed, but in the shot we were looking at just before, right here, he's sitting in the correct position. The seat, see how the seats line up in the still picture. But for some reason in the moving picture, the freeze frame from the moving picture, he's sitting too far forward. So I'll show you what they had to do here. I kind of did some editing to show you how it was achieved. Very interesting. I broke the overlay this time into parts so that I could move the middle of the car around. So I'll show you what I guess they had to do here. Watch. So they had to shift, they had to shift the front of the car forward here. I bet it was done in post-production, but you see that? Now the rear wheel had to stay in the same spot, so they kept the rear basically the same, although they shortened up the back end. But look how far forward. There we go. I put his hand on the knob there, so you can see how it lines up. See his hands on the knob, and his left arm is right where the steering wheel would be. That, my friends, is a Jeep. There are a lot of problems with this lunar roving vehicle. I spent 12 years selling cars, so I've been around cars quite a bit. I didn't sell this type, Jeeps and stuff. I have a Jeep, but this was, you know, they just think we're stupid, and they're right most of the time. They're also cheap and lazy, so they just went with something easy that they had laying around, which was a Jeep, specifically a Willys Overland CJ3B as used in Vietnam. 38 million bucks, ladies and gentlemen. And then, so NASA is a very good agency at creating propaganda and using special effects. Very, very adept at that. They didn't trick me this time, though. All right.